In recent years, Boston's sports teams have won championships, dominated national contests. The Boston Red Sox won 3 World Series since the year 2004. The New England Patriots have won 3 Super Bowls. The Boston Celtics have won a championship, and the Bruins have won the Stanley Cup. But for much of the history of Boston, and Boston's history is intertwined with Boston sports, it's been a story of struggle more so than of easy triumph. John L. Sullivan was really the first great Boston champion, a prize fighter, won the heavyweight championship in 1882 and was the heavyweight champ for 10 years until he was defeated by Jake Kilrain in Mississippi. Sullivan, a bare-knuckle champion who then became a Marquess of Queensberry champion using gloves, really made prize fighting less a barroom activity and more of an acceptable public sport. And since then there have been other boxing champions from Boston or the Boston area. Rocky Marciano from Brockton, Tony DeMarco from the North End, born on Fleet Street, John Ruiz from Chelsea, won championships as boxers, and what was then the Matthews Arena, is now the Matthews Arena, the Boston Arena, built in 1910, is one of the oldest sporting venues in the country, really built for prize fighting. The Boston Red Sox, formed in 1903, were actually Boston's second baseball team, and for much of their history, their story was one of frustration, having some great players and coming close. Ted Williams, the last batter to hit over 400 in a season, hit over 500 home runs, was only able to play in 1 World Series in 1946 because the Red Sox story always was not being able to make it any further. John Updike said in an essay about Ted Williams' last at bat that for much of his career, the only thing at stake was the difference between doing a thing well and doing it badly. Years of frustration and coming close, and years of heartbreak with the Red Sox, which were, of course, redeemed in the early decades of the 21st century with championships in 2004, 2007, 2013, and beyond, erasing what some ascribe to a curse, which actually didn't exist. Babe Ruth did not curse the Red Sox when he was traded or sold to the Yankees in 1920. But we have coming close, but not being quite there. The Boston Bruins, started in the 1920s, are one of the premier or one of the charter members of the National Hockey League, winning championships, winning the Stanley Cups in the 30s and the 40s, and then in 1970 rebounding quite dramatically when Bobby Orr scores the winning goal against the St. Louis Blues and flies across the net, a pose immortalized in a statue of Bobby Orr that stands in front of the Garden. The old Boston Garden stood on this site, built in 1927. The new TD North Garden stands there now, built in the 1990s. In the 1940s, the Boston Celtics formed a new National Basketball Association, and the Celtics have won championships in every decade, and in fact they have a streak of winning championships consecutively in the 1950s, 60s, into the early 70s. Larry Bird, Bill Russell, other great Celtics have raised championship banners above the Garden, transforming that sport under the leadership of Red Auerbach, the longtime coach of the Celtics who put together the squad in the 50s. The Celtics were the first basketball team to have 5 starting players who were African American. The first basketball team whose coach was an African American, Bill Russell. And the Celtics are worth a story all of their own. The New England Patriots, formed in the early 1960s. Initially, there was a football team in Boston, started in the 1930s. They played at Braves Field, and they were the Boston Redskins, carrying the same name as the Braves. And then they went on to play at Fenway Park, and then they moved to Washington, D.C. The New England Patriots, formed in the early 1960s by the upstart American Football League, initially also played at Fenway Park and at other venues before moving out to Foxborough. And again, the Patriots made it to the Super Bowl in the 1980s. Did not do very well. They floundered for years, had good players, but a tough league. Early part of in the late 1990s, purchased by Bob Kraft, a paper manufacturer who really invested in the team and brought Bill Belichick in as coach, Tom Brady in as quarterback, and assembled a phenomenal group who in 2002 won the Super Bowl. Not playing as individual players, they came onto the field for the Super Bowl as the New England Patriots, and as a team they won the Super Bowl in 2002 and in 2000 and in subsequent years, being one of the great football teams in the American sport. So Boston continues to be a city of sports teams, and some of them do win championships. Always tense rivalries with other teams. They are not alone. They are not peerless, as all of these are competitive sports, from boxing to baseball, football, hockey, basketball. All require competition and all require perseverance.